Tonight, the legal loophole that drove an 81-year-old man to take his own life. Clive Worthington spent 14 years in agony after dental work went wrong. A loophole meant his compensation was never paid, and his family say the pain became too much.
In the end, he decided that I guess couldn't live with it anymore.
Well, tonight, his family gives a warning to others to prevent another life being lost, also tonight. The £10,000 reward being offered in the hunt for this couple and their newborn baby. Remembering the worst natural disaster in British history, the floods that took lives and affected thousands, and...
Can you guess what this enormous thing here is? It's designed to cheer you up and draw you in. All will be revealed in a bit.
Good evening. We start tonight's programme with the hidden catch that led to an 81-year-old man taking his own life and a family fighting to change the law. Back in 2008, Clive Worthington had bad dentist work, which left him in constant pain day and night. He subsequently took the dentist to court and won one of the biggest payouts of the time. But he never saw a penny of it because of a legal loophole that's some 100 years old. His family say he was living in agony every single day for 14 years, and it eventually became too much for him. His daughter now wants to see change so others don't have to suffer too, as he told our reporter, Helen Keenan.
This is the memory book that we put together, and this is Mum and Dad before he'd had all of the dental work done.
Enduring chronic pain for a decade after failed dental implants left him with broken teeth and nerve damage.
Pretty much straight away he had problems. They became infected, and it was just sad to see him not being able to do things that he would have loved to have done. So I'd say, you know, the last years of his life, it really stopped him from living it to the full and in fact made it a misery.
Clive Worthington could barely eat or sleep. After years of stress and agony, his family say he couldn't cope any longer and in September took his own life.
It's too much for somebody to carry on living with, and in the end he decided that I guess couldn't live with it anymore.
This has really affected you all as a family, hasn't it?
We're just obviously absolutely devastated. It's not something that anybody would ever want to happen to somebody that they love.
His daughter believes it was the frustration of a system that he felt had failed him that pushed him to that point. The 81-year-old had been struggling to adapt to dentures, so had travelled to Budapest for affordable implants and had made sure the dentist carrying out the work also practised in the UK, so he would be protected. But when Clive was awarded £116,000 in compensation by a UK court, he wasn't paid any of it because of a loophole in dental insurance. From the Dental Defence Union.
They're not regulated, and what they offer is a discretionary indemnity, which means that the board of directors of that organisation can essentially, regardless of what a judge has ordered, just say, no, we're not going to pay out. We're not, and they don't have to explain why.
The DDU told us they don't comment on individual cases, but that it is rare that we are unable to offer our members support. Over the past 5 years, we have assisted well over 99.5% of members who have approached us for support with claims and other legal matters. We also asked the regulator for a statement, and the General Dental Council said patients must be able to seek compensation in the rare event that something goes wrong in their dental care. And it is deeply frustrating that weaknesses in the current legislation cause the system to fail in this instance. A government consultation to review the current provisions is in process, with the regulators saying they can then apply them. Until then, Clive's family will continue speaking up to protect this from happening to others. Helen Keenan, ITV News.
Tomorrow, London will be feeling the twin impact of closed schools and very few trains because of strike action. Drivers will be walking out because of that long-running row over better pay and conditions, once again leaving Londoners struggling to get around town. Well, our political correspondent Simon Harris has the latest.
400,000 people a day use trains owned by GTR. Its services operate under the banners of Gatwick Express, Great Northern, Southern and Thameslink. But tomorrow this vital part of London's commuter network will once again come to a standstill.
Tomorrow and again on Friday, the 3rd of February, we won't be running any services at all on our network, unfortunately. And that is due to national action being taken by ASLEF, the trade union that represents train drivers.
Some passengers passing through Paddington will fare a little better. The Elizabeth Line and Heathrow Express will have a normal timetable. But Great Western will only run trains to Reading and Bristol. The dispute is about pay and working on Sundays.
This is about being more flexible in terms of the working arrangements. So it could be that we want people to be more rostered to cope with a 7-day railway. We've got lots of people who are now travelling for leisure. So we want those people working at weekends as part of their natural working week.
Train companies saying they won't run any services out of London include Avanti West Coast, Chiltern, East Midlands, Gatwick Express, Great Northern, London North Western, South Eastern, Southern and Thameslink. There'll be a reduced service on Great Western, Greater Anglia and LNER. London commuters and businesses have had to put up with strikes on trains and tubes for almost a year. Tomorrow's walkout by drivers is the 7th in their dispute over pay, and there are still unresolved disputes involving station staff, signallers and underground workers. ASLEF drivers have been offered a 4% pay rise this year and another 4% next year, but there's no sign of agreement between the two sides.
We've gone back 6 months. The employers have put out a proposal. They did it in public. They press released it. We hadn't had sight of it, weren't able to respond to it. And unfortunately, our members all saw it and took a view that they did not like what it contained.
The train companies, represented by the Rail Delivery Group, dispute that version of events. The RDG accuses ASLEF of making false statements. London commuters are caught in the crossfire.
So, Simon, is there any end in sight to this?
Well, the Rail Delivery Group, which represents the train companies and the union ASLEF, aren't even talking at the moment. But I get the impression that might change once these strikes are over, so possibility of it moving forward with fresh talks next week. As for the dispute between the RMT and the train companies, well, the union is consulting its members on the most up-to-date pay offer, so that's looking a little more hopeful, and we should know the result of that next week. But I think for many people, the immediate concern is tomorrow when the train strike coincides with the teachers' strike, leaving many with both commuting and childcare challenges.
OK, Simon, thanks very much. An inquest into the death of a dog walker in Surrey has found that she died from multiple bites to the neck. 28-year-old Natasha Johnston is believed to have been walking a number of dogs in Caterham when she was attacked on January the 12th. Police officers seized 8 dogs at the scene, though none were banned breeds. Surrey Police announced last week that they had closed their investigation with no prosecutions. Next, the latest on the Metropolitan Police's search for a missing couple and their baby, last seen buying a tent. There's still a lot of concern for the baby's welfare, so police are now offering a reward for information. Well, Anila Dami is outside Scotland Yard for us. Anila, what have police had to say today?
Well, police are concerned that a newborn baby has been in sometimes sub-zero temperatures with no medical care since the beginning of the month, and are offering £10,000 for information that can assist in finding 35-year-old Constance Martin and her convicted sex offender partner, 48-year-old Mark Gordon, and their baby who went missing after their car broke down in Bolton on the 5th of January. Police believe they're camping in a tent and have a large amount of cash on them. Now, the Met have admitted that they're behind because this couple are moving far and fast from Liverpool to Harwich to Colchester and to here in London, where on the 7th of January, police say they made 3 taxi journeys, including East Ham and Whitechapel, before leaving Haringey for East Sussex. And the buggy you saw in the picture there, they dumped that in London before leaving for Newhaven, where they were last spotted on the 8th of January.
So obviously now we know that they are concealing the baby when they're walking within the coats. We're really looking obviously for the images of that couple to be looked at obviously when at taxi areas, transport areas, but also we still believe and we still know that when they arrived in Newhaven, they were in possession of the tent and the sleeping bags.
Police do believe that the couple, the family, are still in the UK and within the UK, and asking everyone far and wide to come forward with any information that can help their case.
Thanks very much, Anila. Still to come on the programme. Sex Pistol Glenn Matlock will be joining us in the studio to talk about his new album. But first, it was the flood that was described as Britain's worst natural disaster, displacing thousands and killing hundreds, including 59 people on Canvey Island. 70 years ago today, a freak blend of weather events caused utter devastation across the south coast. But decades later, it's left many wondering if climate change could cause it to happen again, as Sam Holder reports.
At home, Canvey Island figures prominently in the battle to hold back the sea.
It was a flood that changed Canvey Island, changed Britain, changed Europe. 70 years ago tonight, a freak storm hit the North Sea. Canvey Island was in its path. High tide meant flash floods. Many on the island lived in shacks with tin roofs. They stood no chance against the might of the water.
I remember being woken up with my mum grabbing me out of the bed, because we slept together in this little shack, and it was sliding into the sea, and she grabbed us out, and I don't know where she put us, but we were sort of sitting on top of things, and my dad managed to climb out of a little window backwards into the sea and get onto the corrugated iron roof, and he broke that in with his bare hands.
They spent 13 hours on the roof exposed to the elements. Eddie was 6. Her 4-year-old sister Judith lost her life that night.
It spoilt everything. Didn't have much of a childhood after that, because from going to a family of 4, I was an only child, and it was very difficult. So Mum didn't ever get over it, ever.
59 died on Canvey. The floods had a profound effect on the island and its people. Ray still has a photo of his mum and brothers being rescued by boat.
I think it taught me one thing, that I wanted to do something to play a part in public service. And when I look back, I suspect that's why I was appointed onto the Flood Defence Committee and did 43 years.
That night led to a dramatic re-evaluation about the risk of floods. Seawalls on Canvey were reinforced. The Thames barrier came as a direct result to prevent flooding downstream in Greater London. The whole of Canvey lies below sea level, making it one of the most vulnerable places in the country to rising sea levels as a result of climate change. The floods 70 years ago act as a warning of the kind of devastation that can cause. Tens of millions are now being spent updating the defences on Canvey Island in response to the threat. The lessons and losses of 1953 have not been forgotten. Sam Holder, ITV News.
OK, sport now, and no signs of a cost of living crisis at Chelsea.
Zero Accounting Software sponsors ITV Regional Sports Report.
The Blues have spent an eye-watering £400 million in the transfer window on new players, and they've not stopped there. With just a few hours left, a World Cup winning midfielder could be about to break the British transfer record on his way to the bridge, as Rags Martel reports.
Will he? Won't he? Argentina's young World Cup winner Enzo Fernandez could be coming to West London. It was written in the stars. Chelsea trying to bring the midfielder for a British transfer record of more than £100 million.
Enzo Fernandez, why do Chelsea want him?
Chelsea want him because we're on the lookout for new young midfielders. You know, we have a lot going out, we have a lot of injuries, and I think, you know, we're just looking for younger players to rebuild the squad, and obviously he's a World Cup winner. We've seen what he can do.
Are you concerned about the amount of money Chelsea is spending?
Yes, it's very erratic. We just have to hope that all these players gel well together. Otherwise, it's going to be we're going to be in trouble financially, for sure.
These are strange times for Chelsea. They boasted about winning it all with their old owner Roman Abramovich, but since selling up to the Americans, it hasn't worked out. Chelsea's new owners have already spent big, £450 million since last summer. The signing of Enzo Fernandez would add another £100 million. But this money isn't bringing in success. The Blues are currently 10th in the league.
The biggest challenge for Chelsea going forwards is that they really need to be in the Champions League, and there's 6 or perhaps 7 teams that realistically have a chance of doing that. If Chelsea fail to achieve Champions League participation, then it becomes increasingly challenging for them.
I mean, can they keep spending? There must be a time when the money runs out.
We have financial fair play, which is there to stop one team from scooping up all of the talent and creating a monopoly. In the short term, they can continue to spend, but I think once we get beyond the summer window, they're going to have to be increasingly adopting a more one out and one in approach if they want to keep within the rules.
While Chelsea are trying to bring younger and younger players to the club, one of its older stars left today. Jorginho moving from West to North London. The 31-year-old Italian, seen here with his agent, joins Arsenal for $12 million.
But it's now.
The move coming as a shock to a Chelsea player this afternoon who thought he was still a Blue.
No.
But the £100 million question tonight: will Fernandez become the Premier League's most expensive player? The transfer deadline closes in a few hours. Rags Martel, ITV News, Stamford Bridge.
Sir Mo Farah has said he'll be competing at this year's London Marathon. Sir Mo had to pull out last year at the last minute because of a hamstring injury, but says he's now recovered and looking forward to running again in his hometown in April. The Olympic gold medalist will be 40 in March, hinted that 2023 would be the final year of his athletics, but says he'll keep the world champs in the summer open. Next tonight, to a bassist who's back with a bang and whose past work you'll definitely be familiar with. Glenn Matlock helped form the Sex Pistols in 1975, becoming part of one of the most groundbreaking bands of all time. He went on to form Rich Kids with Midyear and perform with a whole host of other bands over the years, as well as releasing his own material. Well, he's back with a new album, Consequences Coming. Oh, I thought we were going to hear a little bit of that. I thought we were going to hear a little bit of, but we didn't, unfortunately, Glenn.
But you heard the single, which is kind of good. So thanks for playing.
It's such a joy to have you in the studio. Let's talk about the title. I get the feeling that the album will be something that will get us thinking a bit, it will get us giving an insight into you and your life.
Well, a little bit, but it's also what's been affecting me over the past few years and a lot of people in this country, particularly the musicians, since the whole Brexit scam, I think it was, really, and I'm railing against that. So lots of the songs are a bit of a toe tapper, but they're also spleen venters. Yeah. So that's my take on the whole thing.
Well, as long as
which I think is a nonsense. But
well, viewers will always recognise that it's your view as opposed to the view that we share. But I think it's just very much a reflection of who you are, which was very evident even with the work that you were doing with the Sex Pistols, and the punk era still, I believe, you can see within you now as an artist.
Hopefully, yeah. I mean, I think it's a bit of a cop-out to kind of not look and comment on what's going on around you.
Do you think enough artists do that now?
I don't know. There's a great song that was kind of like a dance classic by Edwyn Collins, Girl Like You. There's a great line in it. It says, too many protest singers, not enough protest songs. So I thought, right, I'm going to write a couple.
Yeah, we don't see as many protest songs now, I would say, than we were a few decades ago.
Things, but whether they get the time of day to be listened to about that, and whether I will or not, I mean, that's why I'm pleased to be on here and all that. But I like people going way back, you know, Dylan and Pete Seeger wrote this song, If I Had a Hammer.
Yeah.
But one of the lyrics in the song is, if I had a hammer, I'd hammer out a warning, you know, about injustice in this world.
I mean, I think one part of your history, which I think would be endlessly fascinating, was exactly, you know, the location in which you guys all got together back in the day, and that was at Vivienne Westwood's sex shop on the King's Road.
Yeah, well,
what was that place like?
It was a shop called Sex.
Well, as opposed to a sex shop.
But what went on when the door shut, I'm not saying. Yeah, and it's kind of quite topical because Vivienne's no longer with us, sadly. It was great. It was, I mean, when I started there, it was actually called, well, do you know what? I just remember I got my hat on.
You got your hat on, but you look so dapper with it on.
And that's rude. It was actually a teddy boy shop called Let It Rock when I first started there, and then it was changed into that. But through the doors of the shop, on a Saturday afternoon, nearly anybody but everybody sort of passed through it. It was like a youth club for every wastrel, oddball, people who didn't fit in, and that was the place that they did fit in. You know, I know you mentioned just earlier on, he was talking about Boy George, and people who come in there, and Marco Peroni and Adamant, as well as the Sex Pistols and Susie from the Banshees, and there was a guy called William Broad who became known as Billy Idol, and then another guy who was in there was a guy called Bernard Rhodes who went on to help Mick Jones form The Clash, and he was their manager. Hell of a load of things, and photographers and painters. And I'm kind of all the things I've done, which is quite a lot, I think, but I'm kind of the proudest that I was part of that little scene, because it was like dropping a pebble in a pond, you know, and the ripples.
And the ripple effects we're still seeing today. Oh, I could talk to you for so long, I really could. Thank you so much for coming in to talk to us, and I look forward to hearing the album.
Great. And the other thing, just one other thing, I'll say, I've got a gig coming up on the 17th of February at Nell's in London.
OK, so well, you've told them now.
Come on down.
You've told them now.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, let's take a look at what Sally's been up to. I think you're in the city, aren't you, Sal?
I am Charlene, and when I was told I was going to be doing a story on bubbles today, I thought it was these kind of bubbles. Bit of an industrial bottle, isn't it? It did look a bit smaller in the Argos catalogue, but seeing as I've got them, actually, they are quite relevant, because if I take some out and ruin my clothes and just give them a little blow, oh, isn't that beautiful? Hopefully, that brings back some lovely memories, maybe of your childhood or your children or your grandkids, or maybe them fighting over the bubbles. But the point is, they're beautiful and they're cheerful, but they're not the only bubbles here. I've got some absolutely enormous ones. So take a look, Craig, show them the beautiful display. So we are underneath the cheese grater, and these enormous bubbles, come and take a look inside, are here for everyone to come and see. You can walk through them, they're iridescent, you can see through them, you can go under them and all the way around them. And the person who's behind them, or behind the company that are organising them, is Kate. So Kate, thank you for joining us. Tell us a little bit about why you've brought them here to the cheese grater.
Well, we're delighted to be hosting these giant bubbles here in the eastern city part of the City of London. We want to bring some joy and light into these rather gloomy days of January and February, but there is a message behind them as well. You know, we really as a city cannot exist on this 3-day working week that we're seeing here. So it's about trying to pull workers back and some new visitors too, and it's great to see that tonight on a Tuesday we've got some great visitors here enjoying the bubbles.
I don't want to be an old cynic. Is this enough to bring people back into London? They probably love working from home and on their 3-day weeks. Is this enough?
I think it's a really good start. We've had over 10,000 visitors visiting this free installation already. We're here until the end of next week, so come down, come and see them. But there's a whole campaign that needs to roll on from this. We and others like us are doing many more things. We've got big things planned for the coming months and years. So please keep us on your radar. Come to the city. We've got loads going on.
All right. Well, listen, Kate, thank you very much. I hope you heard what Kate said. The music was going a bit crazy there, wasn't it? And they're here until the 10th of February, so you can bring the kids down. Hopefully you won't get too much wind whipping them up. They are quite delicate, but they're looking beautiful. So there is a bit of a breeze out there, but nothing too bad. Let's take a little look. Here is the weather.
ITV London weekday weather is sponsored by Octopus Electric Vehicles. Car, charger and energy.
Hello again. Well, I have got great news for you. Guess what's back? It's Blossom, and hasn't it been a long time coming? Thank you so much, Ben, for finding it and sending it in. Our weather for the next few days is mostly dry, bright at times, so there's still a fair bit of cloud around. It's fairly mild compared to how we've had it, but it's a bit breezy. It's going to be a bit breezy tomorrow, so if you're in that wind and out of the sunshine in the clouds, still feeling a little bit cold. What's going on? Let's take a look at the pressure chart. To the north of England, they're fighting these fronts coming in. But here in the south, we've got high pressure battling back, and that is what is keeping things nice and calm and settled. So let's move on to tonight, and we've got quite a lot of clear skies outside. There's a bit of cloud moving through, but with the clear spells, the temperature's dropping down to those low single figures once again. But the breeze picking up a touch through the night, and that'll probably stop most of us getting too close to freezing and probably prevent most of us getting a frost tomorrow morning. That said, it will still be really quite chilly when you wake up tomorrow morning, the 1st of February, but some lovely winter sunshine to greet you. A really decent start to the day, but it is turning a little bit cloudier as the day goes on into the afternoon, but there could well still be some bright spells coming through. Now, our temperatures getting to highs of 8 to 11 degrees, so still above average. Average for this time of year is about 7, but maybe just a touch down on today, and we have got a slightly breezier picture tomorrow, particularly at the coast, so that will just take the edge off things. Tomorrow evening, not a huge amount of change. It's staying pretty much mostly dry, and of course the temperature's coming down again. Right, our outlook, fairly simple, staying the same, quite dry, still quite mild and bright spells at times. That's it from us all here. I'll see you later on. Cheerio.
ITV London Weekday Weather is sponsored by Octopus Electric Vehicles.
Oh, thanks for that, Sally. Right, finally, Little Ealing Primary School is about to take on a big challenge. They've beaten 12 schools from across the country to compete in the NFL Flag Championship in Las Vegas. And to help out with their final training session, they had a visit from an American football legend who also happens to be a Londoner, as Sally Biddulph reports.
Touchdown. This is the moment Little Ealing Primary School won the NFL Flag National Championships last July, beating 12 schools to secure their ticket to Las Vegas for the 2023 NFL Pro Bowl.
I didn't really believe it at first because, not many people really get to go to Las Vegas as a child.
So excited, it's going to be such a great opportunity.
They're now training for their big moment in this five-a-side non-contact version of American football.
1, 2, 3, defense, let's go!
And Effie Obaida, who is current Washington Commanders defensive end and Britain's longest-serving NFL player, is helping them make their mark.
It's huge. I think it's a great opportunity for them to showcase their talents, showcase that the UK has talent, and for them to just go out there and just have fun and compete.
As a child, Obaida was trafficked into the UK and grew up in 10 different foster homes across the capital. At 22, he signed with London Warriors. He says sport can be a lifeline for young people.
It creates, friendships, it creates bonds, it creates, you might have a kid that's a little bit of an introvert, and then when they start playing sport, they kind of come into their own and their personality. So it just has different tools and different ways of helping them.
At the NFL Pro Bowl on Sunday, they'll compete against top youth flag teams from across the US and the world.
Representing the UK, it's just put us on the map. We always knew we were doing good things here, but it's just almost like a massive recognition. It's an opportunity of a lifetime. I think it's something that's going to stay with them for the rest of their lives, and something that's going to stay with me. Their families, their community and this school, I think they're going to be legends here.
There are over 300 schools across the UK playing the sport from all different ages and backgrounds. A sport that could see Team UK secure their place as world champions.
100% is coming home.
Not only flying the flag for Britain, but possibly also bringing a trophy home. Sally Biddulph, ITV News.
Oh, good luck to them all. We wish them the best of luck. But that's it from us. We're back with the latest after ITV News at 10. Mary's up next, of course, with the ITV Evening News. But for me and the rest of the London team, enjoy your evening. Bye-bye.